Time now for Conversation Nation. Joining me tonight, Access Hollywood's Sean Robinson, political analyst Jason Johnson, and political editor for Roll Call, Shira Center. Thank you all for your time tonight and for being here.
Glad to be here, Rev.
Thank you, Rev.
Is Hillary Clinton close to a presidential announcement? The Wall Street Journal said today, reporting White House advisor John Podesta is joining Hillary's emerging campaign as a senior counselor. Podesta served as chief of staff for former President Bill Clinton and was brought on as President Obama's special counselor last year. Neither Mrs. Clinton or Podesta have commented on this report. Jason, what do you make of this? Is an announcement coming soon?
I mean, she's going to announce sometime soon, probably sometime this spring. But I got to be honest with you, Rev. There's really only two things Hillary Clinton needs to worry about, and it's not her staff. Number one, she needs some competition, because if she ends up running by herself, if she doesn't have a Warren or a Pataki or O'Malley to run against, it's going to be hard for her to explain why we should elect her one way or another. And the second thing is, she needs to spend more time with the base. The Democratic base has been marching against police brutality for the last 3.5 months. Hillary has hardly said anything. So it doesn't matter how many Washington insiders she gets. If she's not doing those two things, she's not going to do well in 2016.
Let me ask you, Sean, is she gearing up? I mean, does this Podesta hire give you a sign that she's gearing up for the race and that we may be seeing an announcement soon?
Well, Rev, if she's not gearing up for a political campaign, I'm not sure why you would have somebody like John Podesta, step down from his current position and come and get on her side and be on her team. I mean, look, he is one of the, when you talk about Democratic heavyweights, he definitely is that. And so, and I definitely think that people are ready for Hillary Clinton. She will, I think one of the big things that she's going to have to worry about is being able to answer questions that she hasn't really specifically answered in the past. Number one being Monica Lewinsky and what happened during that time. Monica Lewinsky just recently came out and joined Twitter, and that reignited that whole conversation about what was that whole time in the Clinton administration like. So I think once Hillary Clinton is able to get past questions like that, then she can, she's got getting this team together, and I think that she's going to be a real contender. I think we might be ready for another Clinton in the White House.
Shira, Sean raised it because the chair of the GOP, Reince Priebus, said everything's on the table. They're going to bring up Bill Clinton's personal life. Monica Lewinsky will certainly be there. That's going to be on the table, Shira.
Well, I think it'll be on the table in terms of Republican primaries. You'll notice a lot of Republicans still like to talk about this, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a Clinton supporter anywhere who has not gotten past Monica at this point, right? It's over 10 years ago, right? The Clintons have a solid base of support in a lot of competitive states, and when you ask those voters, the Democratic primary voters especially, what they like about the Clintons, Monica rarely comes up. And if I can mention also the issue of staff, right? You can't reach out to the base necessarily until you get some semblance of a campaign staff. And her staff caused her a lot of problems in 2008. There was a lot of drama among the ranks, a lot of infighting, and it proved detrimental to her campaign in the long run. So staffing up ahead of time is going to be integral to her success this time around, and so is finding the right people.
All right, now to a former president. Former President Jimmy Carter weighing in on Mike Huckabee's problem with Beyonce. We told you last night how former Fox News host Mike Huckabee complimented the president and first lady on how they raised their daughters, but then criticized their closeness to Beyonce. Former President Jimmy Carter weighed in on the controversy today.
I don't agree with much that Mike Huckabee says, and I think that President Obama's doing a good job.
Sean, you cover celebrities. How is Hollywood reacting to this criticism of Beyonce?
Rev, I got to tell you, I think politicians know that if they want to get some publicity, just talk about Beyonce. I mean, my goodness, anytime somebody has something to say about pop culture or the entertainment world, they mention Beyonce and they know that's going to be front page news. Look, you can't tell people how, first of all, I don't think parents like for you to tell other parents how to raise your children. And if you don't want your kids to listen to Beyonce or anybody else, then that is your role as a parent to keep them from listening to that type of music. But I'm not sure how he is. I'm not sure how Huckabee, I just imagine Huckabee, like, you know, his wife calling him, honey, you know, dinner's ready, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm watching these Beyonce videos so I can, you know, be on top of what I'm telling people not to do. It's like, you know, I don't know why people are always putting her in the forefront when we talk about, you know, what's so bad with pop culture. I'm not exactly sure why he's doing that, other than to get publicity.
I'm not too sure kids like being told what to listen to either. But,
that's right.
But Jason, I said it last night, I repeat, is this all they have left to criticize President Obama about? I mean, are we down now to the kids listening to Beyonce?
Yeah, and it seems silly. You know, Barack Obama has a whole lot of things on his iPod that his kids listen to, but it's also, it's really hypocritical of Mike Huckabee. Remember, he plays frontman for a band called Capital Offense. They've opened for Dionne Warwick. They've opened for Willie Nelson. I asked my parents, Dionne Warwick used to have some saucy lyrics back there in the 80s. So before he starts lecturing Barack Obama what his kids listen to, he might want to think about who he's performed with on stage and how that affected his own children.
Sharon, tell me what is the measure of this, of Huckabee wanting to take a shot at President Obama and Mrs. Obama?
Look, I think Mike Huckabee said that for one reason only, and it was to sell books, right? And why does Mike Huckabee need to sell his new book? Because he wants to remain relevant in the 2016 conversation and turn, and again, to just sell more books, right? And what's the easiest way to do that? Is to say something controversial. But I really don't think, like, Mike Huckabee is angling for the youth vote with a comment like this, right? First of all, who insults the Queen Bee, okay? Right, that's just a silly move to begin with, okay? Secondly, by saying something like this, he comes across like a grandma complaining about Elvis dancing in the 60s, right? This is so throwback 50 years ago.
Well, I see all those millions of youth voters leaving Huckabee. Our panel, stay with me, please. We'll be right back with the commute that's going to the dogs and the Razzie Awards, the worst Hollywood has to offer.